Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 mini-series with the Los Angeles Angels. And we're about midway through the 2026 to 2027 offseason. Been a busy offseason for our Angels, even though we have not been particularly active in free agency. We've made trades for a new shortstop, Anthony Volpe, a new center fielder, Grant McCray, a new starting pitcher in Corbin Burns, and a new man for our bullpen in Luke Weaver. So I feel like we've definitely improved the team's defense, hopefully improved the team's pitching a bit. Haven't made a monster move, but still think the team that was 80 and 82 a year ago is in a better place now than it was when the offseason began. And we do still have some money available as we're thinking about the free agent market. Don't know that we want to make any real long-term commitments to anyone who is still available, but we could definitely use another versatile player for our infield. So I'm keeping an eye on the likes of Jazz Chisholm, J.P. Crawford, Nico Horner, and Willie Castro. If the prices of those guys come down or if one of them really lingers on the market for a long time, I think they could be a nice addition as a relatively expensive utility infielder for us for a single season. Certainly would say that Gavin Lux and even potentially Orlando Arcia fit the bill as well. So going to keep an eye on those players. I'm guessing at least one or two of them will be around on the market long enough that their price will come down materially. So we're not going to jump at any of them, but if there's a chance to pick one up for a $4 or $5 million contract for a single season, definitely something that we'd consider. And obviously with Orlando, we'd be doing that at a lower price point than I just mentioned. But the focus right now is on the start of international amateur free agency, and although it's a very talented class, you can see there's 3 5-star potential pitchers available, and even broader group of top hitters available. 3 hitters that our scout thinks are 5-star potential, along with 3 more that are 4.5-star potential. So a lot of very high ceiling prospects out there, but we are most interested in 2 pitchers, both starters. One is the German Hanno Vulture Botts, 16-year-old out of Germany, has potential to have 70-plus stuff, movement, and control, which is absolutely incredible, although his control only 25 right now, so he's got a long way to go with that. Potentially off the charts fastball to go with a excellent curveball and changeup and okay splitter if all those pitches develop. Certainly has the stamina to be a starter, competent at holding on runners. I think he's going to hit triple digits with the radar gun when all is said and done and do like the high adaptability. The big concern with him, I guess, is if that changeup doesn't develop, then it's going to be kind of a guy with 2 excellent pitches, hopefully, and 1 just average pitch if that splitter comes along. Still think that he could be a very effective starter, but if that changeup doesn't develop, it's not inconceivable that his stuff would be more in the 55 to 60 range rather than the 70 that we think it could become. Medium development risk for him, so certainly a very interesting prospect. The right-hander, 6 foot tall, 175 pounds. Ruben Burns out of Venezuela, a little bigger at 6'3", $185, also normal in terms of his injury proneness. Also a 16-year-old right-handed pitching prospect. We think his stuff and his movement could both be outstanding. His control, the ceiling, not quite as high as Botts, and similar to Botts, his control right now is a problem. Similar to Botts, he can throw in triple digits, we think. Similar to Botts, medium development risk. Similar to Botts, he has high adaptability, although unlike Botts, he also has high work ethic and low financial ambition. little more stamina, a little better at holding on runners, and we think that he could potentially have a filthy arsenal of up to 5 pitches if that changeup does develop. So a couple of very interesting prospects to think about. Appreciate everyone in the worldwide scouting department who's opined on this over the last 24 hours or so. And I don't think there were any extremely strong opinions. Pep came back and just said either of them is going to be a great pick. Botts was favored by Jeansy and Avery Shayam. Burns was favored by DLL first base 14 and Bladestaff. But again, I think for the most part, and I don't want to put words into the worldwide scouting department's mouth, but those who took a look at these two pitchers felt that we couldn't really go wrong either way. I think I like Burns slightly more, but I think it would be really cool to have a German pitcher on the team in the future, kind of a novelty for Major League Baseball. You never know if maybe the German pitchers get a boost out of loyalty of the development team to Marcus. But the main reason I'm going to go with Botts is that he is looking for $600,000 a year less, and with $5.23 million to spend, my plan is to make a very aggressive opening bid to Botts to try to get him signed quicker. And an aggressive opening bid to Botts is probably going to be about $750,000 lower than an aggressive opening bits to Burns. And if opening bid, not opening bits. And if I'm able to get Botts signed early, there are several interesting players who are looking for a little less than $1 million to a bit over $1 million that I would love to team up with him in a class. So we are going to go ahead and make an offer to Hano Botts. Oh, our international complex is full. So apparently our scout has been going crazy. Did not realize that was the case, but certainly there will be plenty of not so great players who I'm sure will be able to get out of there and just release with either low ceilings and or negative personalities. All right, well, we've opened up a few spots on the international complex, and obviously we'll be promoting some of those players in the coming weeks to our DSL team as we get ready for the new season, so we should clear plenty of room there. But back to Hano Botts. Says he's looking for $3 million. We're going to be pretty aggressive, offer him $3.73 million, which would leave us with $1.5 million to make an aggressive bid for another player if we can get him signed quickly. So we're going to ask him for a response, and we will wait to hear back. Preseason is going to be beginning shortly. Looking at the player development lab, Logan O'Hoppe, unfortunately, is now struggling with his gap power. Other than that, we're looking to have about half of the programs be successful and about half unsuccessful if we keep up this current pace over the next 4 to 5 weeks till we get to spring training. And we've made it a couple days to the start of the preseason. Hano Botts says that he likes our offer, but some real interesting news from Artie Moreno. He just raised our budget from $266 to $280 million. He likes the way that the offseason has gone. So that perhaps gives us an opportunity to be more aggressive. Now, clearly, if we had known we were going to have another $14 million in the budget, we could have been even more aggressive in trying to bring Mr. Moreno, the international free agent from Cuba, on board a couple of months ago. But we can't cry over spilled milk, but this does let us potentially get even more aggressive with a short-term contract for one of the guys that we just mentioned. If there's somebody that we really like, we've got $29 million to spend for this year right now. So if someone's willing to do a one-year deal, maybe we just go for the guy that we like the most, bring him on board, and try to make the roster as strong as possible while still leaving us with money to potentially bolster this squad as we get closer to the trade deadline by taking on some contracts then. And we'll check in on all of the free agents. Jazz Chisholm still looking for $13 million a year, and he's still looking for 5 years right now. So given that he was not particularly productive when we rented him at the end of last season from the Yankees, that's not a direction that we're going to go right now. Nico Horner would certainly give us some defensive versatility in the middle of the infield. The right-hander, not the greatest bat in the world at this point in his career. And he's still looking for almost $10 million a year for 4 years. So here on January 17th, doesn't seem like the players are quite as desperate as we'd hope quite yet. Gavin Lux, 29-year-old middle infielder who can also play corner outfield spots for us. Ooh, that one might work at this point. Looking for a minor league contract, which becomes a major league contract if promoted. Given that we're just kind of looking for him at a utility infielder, could be a pretty interesting left-handed bat for us off the bench. So Lux maybe we explore right now. Willie Castro, another guy who's pretty versatile, can play a number of infield and outfield positions. He's also looking for a minor league contract that becomes a major league contract. Maybe we get those two both on board and let them fight for that potential final spot in the infield during spring training. Dylan Moore, another guy that I mentioned, he was with us. Actually, I didn't mention him. He was with us a year ago. He was fine for us, although we did have him spend some time in AAA. Only looking for 1 year, but he does want a guaranteed major league contract. Brendan Rodgers was with us last year. I guess a couple of the other guys that we were thinking about have already come off the market, unless I'm missing something here. But I kind of like the fact that both Castro and Gavin Lux are getting a little bit more desperate. We'll try to save a little bit of money if we end up having him on the team, but we'll see if Lux will take a $2.5 million contract if he makes the big team. Says he's not willing to go that low. How about $2.8 million, Gavin? And he's willing to think about that. And we'll do the same thing with Willie Castro. He says he's looking for $1.7 million. We'll give him $1.5 million if he makes the major league team. Got an offer out there to him as well. So I think that these guys fit the bill exactly. I mean, they're proven major league starters at this point, but they're lingering on the market. Feel pretty good about our infield right now with Guerrero Jr. at first, Volpe at second, Barger at third, and Neto at short. And actually, we're going to likely swap Neto to second and have Volpe at short. We still have Brooks Lee in the mix as a utility infielder, but conceivably, both Lux and Castro could potentially elbow Lee out of the way and take both of the utility infield spots that we might have available. And like that, we've got a lefty with Lux and a switch hitter with Castro. Castro actually does hit slightly better, a little more pop in his bat against left-handed pitching. So gives us some options if things develop with these two guys. And obviously I mentioned that Bots says he favors our offer, so would love to get him signed pretty quickly. And Lux says he wants about $5.5 million and that the Dodgers are interested in him. But Willie Castro did sign the contract, so we've got him in and we've got the optionality at this point. So we'll continue to be patient. We can always revisit some of those other guys that we talked about down the line if the likes of Chisholm remains on the market for a while longer. And at the very least, we've got a good, solid, proven major league infielder in the mix to be a utility infielder for us next year. And Chisholm did end up signing away from us. Not that we ever made him an offer. Signed with the White Sox for $12.2 million, and he did get a 3-year contract, so that was more than we would have wanted to give him. Gavin Lux has signed with the Dodgers, and Hano Botts is coming back and looking for more money. So we're probably going to need to be more aggressive to get him on board. Says he's looking for $5.1 million, so we're not going to fool around at this point. Mentioned earlier that I'd love to get 2 guys, but in this case, I'm going to give him all the money we have, the $5.23 million at this point, and hope that that will convince him to join us here in Los Angeles. And it looks like we may not get Hano Botts, even though we offered him every penny we could. Colorado has offered him a deal, and he's got a max offer from a team that he likes more than ours. So we were going to have to go back to square one and see who is available. Colorado can offer him $5.7 million, so they can definitely outbid us. Fortunately, Ruben Burns still around. He says he's looking for $4.8 million, given that Botts is gone, and I really want to get one of these 2 guys. We're going to offer every penny we can to Nasty Burns right now and see if maybe we can get him on board, but we could not compete with the extra close to $500,000 that the Rockies likely had that they could offer Mr. Botts that we were unable to. And unfortunately for us, the same thing seems to be happening with Ruben Burns. Well, he says he wants a contract with a signing bonus of $52.30, which is what we offered him. But we meet his demand and unable to actually submit the offer to him. And he says that he prefers an offer from Kansas City. And Kansas City can also offer him the $5.7 million. So so unfortunately, we may be in a situation where we're not going to get either of these pitchers, which is definitely disappointing. But we will pivot to Plan C, and there were some interesting hitters that were available. Fortunately, it looks like a couple of the 5-star prospects are already off. Vinny Morales, I'm not going to lie, there was another center field in there, and there was a shortstop who were also 5-star prospects. I'm sure I can go see who they were. Yeah, the shortstop, Alfredo Perez. I'm going to admit that I liked more than Morales. And then was the center fielder Mancera? It was, and I also liked him more than Morales. So the 5-star hitting prospect who's still available is the one that I didn't prefer of the 5-star prospects who were out there. I don't love Morales' mediocre skill in the outfield with a poor error rating and a below-average arm. And I really don't love the fact that he's potentially going to strike out an insane amount of time. But he still can be world-class in his home run power and his ability to draw walks and even his gap power, which would pair well with the good speed he has. Like I said, I can't lie, he was at best my 5th-choice prospect behind the other 2 5-star position players I mentioned in Perez and Mancera, as well as the 2 pitchers. Assuming Hano Botts still got no shot with. Could try to make a trade to pick up a little bit more money. just don't know how easy that's going to be to do at this point. And I don't think we're going to be able to get the money that we need to land one of the big pitchers. A lot of teams don't even have any money to offer right now because it's all accounted for on offers that they've made to other players. You can see here with Detroit, we'd have to give up one of the top prospects in our organization, or Vlad Guerrero Jr. or Zach Neto, just to get $500,000 in international bonus pool room. And when we start adding in some players off the 40-man roster that we're willing to get rid of, or even some of the better prospects in our organization that we'd maybe be willing to get rid of, you can see it doesn't really move the table that much. So we're going to have to go with somebody else in the IAFA pool this year. So we'll take a flyer on Vinny Morales after all of that. And he says he's looking for $5.1 million. So it's not inconceivable that we're going to get outbid by another team with $5.7 million to spend. But we'll go with as much as we can to be as aggressive as possible to try to bring him on board. And Reuben Burns, as expected, signed for $5.7 million with the Kansas City organization. So just no way that we could compete with that money. Hano Botts signed with Colorado. Similarly, they gave him every penny they could out of the $5.7 million. So disappointing that we didn't get either of the really big-time pitching prospects in this IAFA pool. And we did end up getting Vinny Morales signed for $5.23 million, so could certainly do worse as far as a consolation prize. Guy's got potentially 80 power and an 85 eye, so he's going to hit some home runs and draw some walks if he fully develops. Probably not going to hit for a great average, and he's going to strike out over 200 times a year if he's playing 162 games or anywhere near that amount. But still think he could be a very interesting bat down the line. And we've made it to the start of spring training. We've also started offering some minor league contracts to some of the guys who are still free agents. Unfortunately, most of the guys that we were more interested in have found homes, or at least places where they're going to already compete for jobs in spring training. So don't know that we're really going to offer anyone a major league contract, but Nico Horner now looks like he will at least consider a minor league contract, so we'll certainly consider bringing him into town as well. And one day to go in the development lab. Unfortunately, Logan O'Hoppy's still struggling with his gap power. That looks like it's going to be the only real bad result that we have, and it does look like there's potential that we're going to have 7 successful programs. Only 2 guys frustrated right now, Matthew Lugo and Zach Neto, with their plate discipline programs. But it is conceivable that all 7 of the other programs will be successful, which would be a pretty good success rate, and particularly with Andres Rodriguez and Sean Gamble, a couple of the top young prospects in our organization in the development lab, could be a really good development for us. And as expected, 7 of our 10 programs ended up successful in the development lab, and we beat the Athletics 1-0 on opening day. Kyle Tucker with a solo home run in the bottom of the first. Not too much offense after that. But Michael King, 45 pitches, his first outing of the season. Luke Weaver came on to get the save. So solid start. Taking a look at the poor program first. Let's see what happened with poor Logan O'Hoppy here. And his current BABIP and his current power rating both dropped. So that's very depressing after the poor performance he had in the gap power program. He took a big step forward last year with 31 home runs for us. He was our everyday DH, except when he was our backup catcher for Adley Rutschman and still played in 152 games. So disappointing that he's got some work to do to get back to where he used to be after that unsuccessful trip to the development lab. Matthew Lugo, no improvement in his plate discipline program. And Zach Neto, no improvement in his plate discipline program either. But we do have 6 successful results and 1 outstanding result. Christian Scott, secondary pitch improvement, his potential and current slider both improved. Nolan Shanuel, gap power rating improved by a little bit. Ben Joyce, secondary pitch improvement, his potential and current sinker both improved by 5 points, so that's good to see. Addison Barger, quality of contact program, successful in his BABIP improved. Sean Gamble, plate discipline, current I rating improved a bit. Andres Rodriguez, also on plate discipline, and his current I rating improved by a full 5 points. And last but not least, the new young center fielder, we had him on that Generate Bat Speed program to generate more power. Outstanding result. Potential power improves by 5. Current power rating improves by a little less than 5. So for an outstanding result, not necessarily earth-shattering in terms of what he did, but 7 out of 10 guys having some level of progress in the development lab is a pretty respectable result, in my opinion. And with the successful results in the longer programs, going to be focused a lot on defense in the next batch of programs that we'll be running until we get to the end of spring training. The youngsters, Rodriguez and Gamble, working on improving their outfield and infield defense respectively. Another prospect, Christian Moore, going to work on his infield defense. Volpe on base stealing, Neto on bunting, Shanuel and Lugo both working their outfield defense. Barger and Guerrero Jr. working on their infield defense, and we'll work on defense at catcher for Logan O'Hoppe. Not expecting that we're going to have the 70% success rate that we had with the long programs with these shorter programs here, but certainly overall very pleased with how we did in the long programs this time around. And our New Look Angels have been playing very well with a 10-4-1 record through the first 2.5 or so weeks of the spring training. Unfortunately, just suffered an injury. Corbin Burns, the new addition to our pitching staff, forearm strain, and going to be out for about 5 weeks. So he will certainly be missing the start of the season, unfortunately, and probably need a rehab start or 2 in AAA before he'll hopefully be able to join us in mid-April-ish. And as anticipated, definitely have a lot of guys who are frustrated with the programs that they're working on here. Only Matthew Lugo is on track with his outfield defense program, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. on track with his infield defense program. But certainly a lot of frustration in the development lab. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like anyone is really struggling real hard, so hopefully nobody will regress, but success rate looks like it's going to be much lower than it was in long programs, as we unfortunately kind of suspected. And unfortunately another injury, Ben Joyce, who closed for us last year for the first half of the season. We're giving him an opportunity to try to win the closer role this year, and he'd been doing pretty well in spring training, but going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks with chronic back soreness. So Joyce, similar to Corbin Burns, is going to be missing the start of this upcoming season, unfortunately. And we've made it to the end of spring training. Grant McCrae banged up now with back tightness, but day-to-day for just 4 days. So hopefully that's not going to have a big impact on the start of his season. Taking a look at our team schedule, we going to have plenty of time to rest up between now and the start of our season. Another international start, so we won't be playing until April 1st, although the official opening day is March 23rd for somebody. And overall, we were 17-9-2 in spring training. Again, spring training doesn't really mean that much, but we were tied with the Marlins for the most wins of any team in the spring this year. So hopefully that means that on the margins, our roster is better than it was a year ago. Looking at the leaderboard for the spring, only Luke Weaver with 5 saves, and he will likely be our closer when the season begins with the injury to Joyce, is on the leaderboards for our Los Angeles Angels. And we've decided on our 26-man roster. A couple of pitchers who wouldn't have made the roster will be heading to Los Angeles with us from the desert, given the injuries to starter Corbin Burns and our potential closer, Mr. Joyce. The rotation with Burns out going to look pretty similar to last year. Michael King is our 1, followed by Reed Detmers, Christian Scott, Jose Soriano, and Ronci Contreras. Luke Weaver is going to get an opportunity to close, at least to start the season, the new addition that we traded for this offseason. Jason Adam, Garrett McDaniels, and Gabe Spire will be setup men. A.J. Block, Colin Snyder, and Robert Bob Stevenson will be middle relievers to start off the year. And Sam Aldegari, the lefty, the 25-year-old, who did pretty well for us after he came up last year, once again will be used as a long reliever and an emergency starter. Can see that overall had some pretty good results from this pitching staff in the spring training period. Scott, Soriano, and Contreras all had sub-2 ERAs, and Detmers at 3.68 had the highest ERA of any of our starters. Also got some very strong performances from most of the relievers, at least in terms of their earned run averages this spring. And no real surprises among the 13 position players that we're going to be taking north with us. Logan O'Hoppe and Adley Rutschman will be our catchers. O'Hoppe the backup catcher, but he'll be in the lineup as our designated hitter when he's not needed as a catcher. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is our first baseman. Zach Neto at second. Anthony Volpe at short. Addison Barger will once again be our third baseman against right-handed pitching. Going to give Brooks Lee a chance to play third against lefties. And Willie Castro, who we signed to that minor league contract with major league options, will be a experienced utility infielder for us. In the outfield, Grant McRae will be our center fielder against right-handed pitching. Kyle Tucker will play center for us against left-handed pitching. The right fielder against righties will be Nolan Shanuel. The right fielder against left-handed pitching will be Matthew Lugo. Kyle Tucker will play left field for us against right-handed pitching, so he'll be in the lineup every day, obviously. And then Joe Adell will play left field for us against left-handed pitching. Actually, we are going to shift one thing there. Shanuel will play left against us against righties, and Tucker will play right. We had them play in different positions in spring training just to get them a little more experience at their off positions, but Shanuel is the weakest corner outfielder with the weakest arm, will be playing in left, whereas we hope that Tucker, after being borderline competent in center field last year, will be a lot more comfortable playing a lot more games in right this year. Although, as I noted, for the time being, he will be our center fielder against left-handed pitching. And taking a look at the preseason predictions, after an 80-win season a year ago, our Angels projected to go 84-78 this year, so a small amount of progress. That 84-78 record would have us battling with the Yankees for the final wild card spot if it comes true that way. And as I noted, with the nice boost that we got even though we are going to have a huge scouting and player development budget this year. We will have plenty of money to bring on help in the trade market if we can find someone interesting to help us. So hopefully that 84 is a worst case scenario for us, and we will not just have a winning record this year, but hopefully be a very legitimate contender for a playoff spot. The Orioles expected to win 98 games and be the best team in the AL. Over in the NL, the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Braves all expected to win their divisions, but all expected to only be around 90 wins. So not expecting any dominant teams in the National League, and a lot of potential parity with no 100-loss teams either. Actually quite pretty similar in the American League. The A's at 69 and 93 are projected to be the worst teams. So other than the Orioles and perhaps the Rangers in our division, a lot of parity expected this year. Taking a look at the expected leaderboards, unfortunately we don't see either of our big free agent signings from a couple of winters ago in either Guerrero Jr. or Tucker on the list for expected big offensive seasons. And don't expect any real huge pitching seasons either, but hopefully we'll end up having somewhat more productivity than expected in the simulation that we just ran to get these results. And with that, our off-season work is done. Opening day is tomorrow, although as I noted, we won't be playing for another week after that, which will give Joyce and Burns both time, so hopefully they'll have minimal loss time by the time we actually get our season started. We'll have some roster decisions to make with the pitchers, obviously, over the next several weeks, as hopefully Joyce and Burns are both healthy. And we'll see if with the 4 significant additions we made this offseason, Corbin Burns, Luke Weaver, Anthony Volpe, and Grant McRae, we'll see if it does end up being better than the 80-win team that it was a year ago. Certainly would expect 84 to represent some progress, but honestly, I want more than 84 wins out of this team. And as I noted, we have the financial capabilities to make that happen, and we also have a farm system that's now ranked 2nd overall. So at least at the top end, we've got some talent that we could certainly trade to bring on some help, although Andres Rodriguez, who's going to be starting the year in Double-A, he did do well in a small sample size there last year, but the 22-year-old is less than a year out of college. So start him in Double-A, hopefully get him up to Triple-A by the summertime, and certainly think he could be competing for a September call-up this year, and hopefully a prominent spot in our lineup in the not-too-distant future. So we've got some help on the way from the minors, and hopefully we're also going to find some help if we need it as this season moves along in the trade market. Until our next episode, when we'll get this season underway, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.